this must be borne in mind. Within us, there is this invisible, which in Christian mysticism is called the Christ or the Spirit of God within you. And as revealed by Paul, I can do all things through this Christ. I can do all things through this Christ. The grace of the Christ is really my sufficiency. It is the bread and the meat and the wine and the water. It is the support and the supply. The human modes that we follow are merely the forms of action that open to us because of the presence of this inner spirit. No change takes place in our outer life except in proportion to our awareness of the inner presence and the inner power. But as we awaken to this spirit within us, this spirit within becomes the very substance and life and law and activity of our experience in the without. And therefore, we are not to take thought about the things of the outer world. We are to seek the realization of this inner presence, and then let our outer world be renewed, be resurrected. As we follow the scriptural story of the Christ, you are led from this birth in the stable, this realization which takes place in your periods of sin or disease or lack or unhappiness. You are led step by step through the various activities of this Christ, and you witness how it heals the sick, how it raises the dead, how it feeds the hungry. And eventually, you are led up to the denunciation of the Christ, the rejection of the Christ, and the crucifixion. Now, this is not an outer circumstance that took place 2,000 years ago. It did take place 2,000 years ago. It also took place 4,000 years ago, and 6,000 years ago, and 8,000 years ago. But it has been taking place every year since then, every day since then, because this rejection of the Christ is not a historical event. It is a personal event that takes place in the experience of every individual on the face of the globe who has received even a small measure of the realization of the Christ. You will find that every spiritual student in the world who has received the Christ has at some time or other come to a place of rejecting it. Regardless of what miracles it has performed in his or her life, there still comes a time of temptation, a time of rejection. And that always comes at a very strange place in our experience. This is the way it came 2,000 years ago. This is the way it has come to every mystic. This is the way, if you stay on the path, it will come to you. As the Christ operates in our consciousness at first, it makes our human life somewhat better. It heals our physical diseases. It relieves us of poverty or out-and-out lack and limitation. It begins to improve some of our human relationships. It brings to us a greater sense of companionship. In other words, looking at it from the human standpoint, it would seem that we have discovered something now, like Aladdin's lamp, that all we have to do is rub it, and all of a sudden our human experience becomes better and better and better. But the truth is that a time comes when an inner realization dawns that this is not really the function of the Christ, just to make our bodies less painful or more harmonious, or just to increase the amount of our income. This is not the major function of the Christ. This is the kindergarten stage of the Christ experience. For now we begin to learn something of what this means. Unless ye leave all, including mother and father and sister and brother, for my sake. Unless you begin to give up this faith and trust and hope in this outer world, unless we come to the place of rejecting what the Master called this world, even a good this world. You see, here is the point of rejection. My kingdom is not of this world. Even if this world has become a healthy one, or wealthy one, or peaceful one to you, there is another place. It is called my kingdom, or the kingdom of God, or the realm of the real. It is a world that has different standards than even the very best of human standards.